There are two primary ways that we source development projects here at RMR. The first is we will evaluate unused or underused land and seek to monetize that somehow via development project. The second way is looking at assets that either are soon to become distressed or vacant or are currently vacant. And under both scenarios, our team will come in, evaluate whether there is a development opportunity, and if so, start really putting resources to work and building out what we think is a viable development program. And if we do that successfully, there's really the opportunity for very significant value creation across both of those types of assets, both unused or underused assets as well as distressed or vacant assets. In terms of our track record to date, we've completed projects across multiple markets in the United States, including a life science complex in San Diego, a life science conversion project in Seattle, a mixed-use office hotel project in downtown DC, multiple industrial expansions for some of our existing tenants, and that's in addition to a pipeline we currently have that consists of probably somewhere between 25 to 30 additional projects that are at various stages of the development life cycle. Fundamentally, what we're charged with is identifying highest and best use for a particular property. And what that means is we'll go into a market, we'll understand what the demand drivers are, what the demand metrics are for that particular market. We'll understand the site itself, what are the site constraints, how big is the site, what's the infrastructure around it in terms of utilities and transit, and ultimately we'll determine what we think is the appropriate development program for that asset and that property. And that's at that point we'll put together our externally sourced project team, we'll build out our architects and engineers and project consultants, and we'll go forward to begin the design and entitlement process. Certainly what we're seeing now in the market is a story of favored versus disfavored asset classes, whereas currently office, lab, were riding high for some period of time pre-pandemic. They're both types of uses that would be very difficult to finance today. On the other hand, projects that are more industrial or multifamily focused seem to be gaining a lot of interest and a lot of traction from the investor community. And that's something that we would consider one of our core competencies, is going out, putting the development program together, teeing up these projects, and going out into the market and being able to source equity investors, deal with lenders, and ultimately finance a project so that we can put shovels in the ground and then proceed to construction and then eventually lease up and stabilization. That's something that we've been successful at. It's something that we're very, very thoughtful about, both on the front end as we initially conceive of a project, and then as we go through the process, I think we're constantly refining how we're thinking about the market, how we're thinking about our site and the development, to make sure that when we get to a point where we're out in the market sourcing the capital stack, particularly from an equity investor standpoint, that what we've done is something that people will want to invest in. For RMR's development team to be successful, it really has to have expertise across a variety of different disciplines. And that includes market research and market understanding. It includes a solid grasp of architectural and planning principles. It includes going into what can be very challenging regulatory environments and figuring out how to navigate them. It involves being able to go through what is a very technical construction process and oversee that in a way that leads to outcomes that are on budget and on time. And then eventually we're responsible as well for the lease up and stabilization of these projects. So having the expertise to kind of navigate all of those different elements is certainly challenging, but on the development side, I think it's one of the things that makes our job so fun, is that we're constantly going into new markets, navigating different hurdles and fundamentally solving problems so that we can execute on these developments.